Hey guys, Biza here and welcome to week number 11 of the MPL, the Major Pokemon League. Today we're going against Pterodactyl and the Sin City Staraptors. So this is the second to last game of the season. This game right now, it actually really doesn't matter. Both me and Pat have clinched our... Oh, there goes my stylus. Both me and Pat have clinched our divisions, or not our division, sorry, our clinched a spot in the playoffs. And Aura is already clinched the division, so this match doesn't really matter who wins. It's kind of just for fun. It is post-com, and I'm not doing face cam because I'm not 100% right now. I'm a little sick. I came back. If you guys follow me on Twitter, which you should, you would know that I was on vacation to Hawaii last week. That's also why this match was late, because as I was coming back from Hawaii, Pat was just leaving to go on vacation to New York, so we couldn't actually battle before the week when we were supposed to, so we were able to battle on Tuesday, and I'm able to get it up today. So that's how that's going. As you can see, Pat's bringing a Tornadus, his Mega Blastoise, his Druddigon, his Excadrill, Sandrush, Hippowdon set, and of course the Rotom Heat as well. I am bringing our specially defensive Ferrothorn, our Rocky Helmet Zapdos, our Mega Heracross, which, you know, put in the finest if you didn't see our battle against Pat. Originally, Heracross nimbly dodging the Air Slash from his Tornadus to clinch us the victory there. We're bringing our Salt-Vested defensive Blastoise. I really wish I had, like, in the beginning of the season, that this 3 core of the Pharaoh, Zapdos, Blastoise, because they work, oh my god, they just work so beautifully together. We're also bringing our Dragon Dancing Lumberry Haxorus and our Choice Scarf Physical Azelf. Now, we have the Ice Punch on the Azelf. I switched it off because last time I brought it, I had Fire Punch for Excadrill, but when it's under Sandrush, it obviously doesn't matter. So we're going to go ahead and hit play. I wanted to lead off with the Ferrothorn just so I can get some Stealth Rocks up or something. I don't know. I figured I could take anything, barring him leading with his Rotom, which, of course, what do you know? He leads with Dominoes the Rotom. So I'm like, all right, I got to get the hell out of here, fearing an overheat or something going on. So I switched into Haxorus. I thought he was going to Volt Switch. But actually, to the benefit of me, he actually goes for the Will-O-Wisp, and I have Lumberry on my Haxorus, so I basically get a free switch off into the Haxorus here. I didn't want a Dragon Dance, obviously, because he had Will-O-Wisp right there, so that'd be silly, but since I have Mold Breaker, go for the EQ. That's ×4 effective. I don't care how defensive this Rotom is, he's not living a ×4 Earthquake from a Haxorus. That's not happening. So he actually goes out into his Blastoise right now. So I switch on out. I could have put the nuke button, hit Outrage, but I knew that his Blastoise would take the hit, and I wanted to save Haxorus. I was debating on whether or not to go for a Dragon Dance right there, but it was basically a 50-50 chance of the Ice Beam one-shotting me, so I didn't want to take the risk there. So he switches out. He goes for the Dark Pulse, I believe. No, he goes for the Ice Beam. So I go out into my Salt-Vested Blastoise, which eats that up like nothing. Here I kind of was debating on whether or not to go to reveal the Mirror Coat yet, so I decided not to. I went for a Scald to try and get a burn. It doesn't happen. I should have Mirror Coated here, and you'll see why later on in the match. So I go out into my Mega Heracross here, predicting the Dark Pulse once again, since I'm Bug and Fighting. Resist it nicely. I'm able to eat that on up, and we're going to go out into... Or he switches out into his Hippowdon on my Mega Heracross, which I thought was a very, very risky play that he went into Hippowdon, especially on the fact that I could have bullet seeded right there. But I guess it wouldn't have really mattered, because then if I did bullet seed, it would have taken out the Hippowdon. He would have gotten the stand up, then he would have gone into his Excadrill. No, actually that did matter, because as you saw in the last match, my Mega Heracross took a +2 Rock Slide from the Excadrill, so I definitely would have been able to take any +1. So I had actually gone for the Rock Blast, predicting the Tornadus to come in, because that's obvious. That's the obvious switch in there for a Bullet Seed or a Pin Missile or anything like that. So now I just go for the Pin Missile, which is actually going to do a good chunk of damage to this Hippowdon, since, you know, it's Stab, nice, and Skill Link, and I don't know, I couldn't really tell if this was like a defensive Hippowdon, or if this was especially defensive Hippowdon. I wasn't sure, but I mean, Mega Heracross just has a huge amount of physical attack, So that's why I did so much. As you can see, another pin missile will definitely be able to take it out. So I wasn't sure whether or not to go for another pin missile, or maybe go for a knockoff or something like that. I decided to go for pin missile because I actually did the calcs, and you'll see that even a pin missile on a Tornadus, it still does a huge chunk of damage. I believe it takes him down to about 50%. This pin missile, so that's pretty gosh dang good here. Yeah, about 50%. Yeah, just actually under 50%. So probably about 45% of HP he's at right now, which is really huge. It's gonna take some damage to the Sandstorm, so I'm weakening off this regenerator thing, and I'm like, okay, you know what, Heracross, you did some damage. You weakened the Tornadus. You weakened the Hippowdon. They don't want to risk the U-turn here, so I just stayed in. Heracross, unfortunately, does not nimbly dodge the air slash this time. Gets taken out, so we get the nice and damage from the Sandstorm onto the Tornadus. So I go out into my Ferrothorn because I know for a fact that I can take a Heat Wave from this thing. But he goes for the U-turn. I wish if I had a Rocky Helmet on this Ferrothorn, I believe I would have taken out the... no, I probably would have lived on like 1 HP. But it has a little bit of HP back. It's going to get 25% more thanks to Regenerator. I think I just went for a Gyro Ball here just because I figured that he might U-turn. So I didn't want to... I figured basically at the HP that he was at, if he stayed in, there was no reason to go for a Thunder Wave because I would have taken the Heat Wave and I would have Gyro Balled and would have died. And then, so that's why I decided to Gyro Ball. And he did switch, unfortunately, so he goes out into his Druddigon. I see it does not have the Rough Skin, which means it's Sheer Force. So I'm going to go into my defensive wall here. Unfortunately, I do take some damage to the Stealth Rocks. I believe he goes for an Outrage here, and I'm actually able to eat up this Outrage like nothing. And as you'll see that he's Life Orb, and Life Orb coupled with Rocky Helmet, he's going to be starting to take damage. And since I outspeed him, I figured, you know what, let's just Roost. And as you'll see, the Roost heals just above what his Outrage is actually doing. So it's good for me. He goes for another Outrage because he's locked into it. So he's going to be taking Rocky Helmet and Life Orb damage. And basically my Zapdos is just sitting here nice and pretty, roosting on up. And I wish that he had gotten the 3-turn Outrage. It would have been a little bit nicer. But actually, no. It actually works really good for me that he didn't get the 3-turn Outrage. What am I talking about? So I just roost up again, get some damage. He goes in and stays and goes for another attack. I think he goes for... He doesn't go for... Oh, yeah, that's right. He goes for the Rock Slide, but since I obviously roosted, I don't get the... It's not super effective. He does get the Sheer Force boost, but it's not super effective. So he goes for a Sucker Punch right here, as I see as he outspeeds me. But he gets hit from Confusion, but it doesn't really matter too much, as the Sucker Punch would have failed because I went for a Roost. He snaps out. He goes for another Sucker Punch as I go for a Defog here as to take the opportunity to get rid of that his rocks that he set up with the Powdon. So that's really good. And now here's where I should have attacked because I figured he might Sucker Punch again, or he might just go for another Outrage, which is what he does. In my mindset, I probably should have attacked here because if he did Sucker Punch, then I take about 30% of damage, and Outrage obviously does about 50% of damage. So I should have definitely attacked right there. So even if he did Sucker Punch, I would have been at less damage. But since he outraged, I would have outspent and would have had way more HP. So he goes back out into his Tornadus here. He goes for a U-turn as I stay in, predicting him to predict me to switch. So that's why I stayed in. And I go for a T-Bolt as he... Oh, no, did I go for a T-Bolt or did I go for a Heat Wave? I think I went for a... Did I go for a T-Bolt? I don't honestly remember. I think I roosted. I think maybe roosted. Yeah? I did. I don't even remember what I did in this match 2 days ago. Alright, so he goes out into his Hippowdon predicting the obvious Thunderbolt. But I did not do that. I went for a Roost. I got my HP back. I go for the Heat Wave, and that's just going to be just enough to take out the Hippowdon, luckily. So rocks are gone. They ain't staying. But unfortunately, he does have his Sand up, which means that he can go out into his Excadrill right here. And I'm just like, okay, well, I can't let this thing get free anything. So he goes for a Swords Dance, and I'm like, well, shit. All right, come on, Heat Wave. Can we get a burn? Can we crit something? No, maybe? No, it's not going to happen. We don't get anything. We do a good chunk of damage to him, though, so that's nice. I'm like, okay. Well, I kind of have to let Zapdos go down here because I can't just send something in to take a hit. I mean, what I could have done was predicted the Rock Slide, got into Ferrothorn, eat that up since it's resisted, and then predicted the Earthquake and went into a Zelf, But it's just super risky. So I go into Ferrothorn. I can take an EQ if he wasn't Life Orb, and after seeing the Rock Slide, it wasn't Life Orb. So luckily, I just barely hang on with that EQ, and Gyro Ball, since Excadrill boosted by the Sand and everything right now, was just enough to take out the Excadrill. So there ain't no sweeping today via that Excadrill, so I'm very happy about that. Now I have my Ferrothorn here with barely any HP left, which unfortunately allows him to go back into his Tornadus. And now what I'm sad about is that Tornadus that I weakened so much thanks to stinking Regenerator has basically almost all of his HP back. And since obviously I can't do anything, I don't really want to switch in fearing the U-turn or anything like that. I let Ferrothorn go down. Now here's where I kind of mess up here. He has Tornadus and Mega Blastoise left, and I have Haxorus, Azelf, and my Blastoise left. Now what I should have done here is I should have just gone for the Outrage, because Outrage would have killed had he stayed in with Tornadus, and I would have been able to take any one hit from the Tornadus. Outrage would have killed had he stayed in. If he did what he just did right now, 2 Outrages would have been enough to take out the Mega Blastoise, and then possibly if I got a 3-turn Outrage, I would have done a huge chunk of damage or taken out the Tornadus, because I definitely would have been able to take one hit. But I went for the Dragon Dance, and as you can see, the Outrage just doesn't kill, which means had I gone for the Miracle with my Blastoise, what I should have, like I said, then I probably would have been able to get the sweep here with the Haxorus. Well, I mean, the sweep, the whole 2 Mons. Or had I gotten the Stealth Rocks up, it would have been able to kill. So I just go into my Choice Scarf itself, so I can get a U-turn off. Therefore, I can kill the Blastoise, switch into my Blastoise on his Tornadus, because I'm Assault Vested and I'm defensive, so I'm able to take any hit from this Tornadus. Now, you're going to see there's going to be some hacks that are going to happen right now, but in the end, it actually doesn't matter, because my Azelf is Choice Scarfed with Ice Punch. And you will see Knockoff doesn't take me out, it barely does any damage, which I'm able to get off an Ice Beam. You'll see how much damage it does. It is that much about. And you will see later on in the match, what actually happens is he misses his Air Slash, I go for Ice Beam, and it freezes him. But you'll see how much damage that the Ice Beam is at. So he's at about 50% health. Or he's at about 50% health right there, actually a little bit less. So you will see later on he actually defrosts, and he hits me with an Air Slash, and you'll see that the Air Slash doesn't actually kill me. So couple that with the fact, had he hit me with the original Air Slash, I Ice Beamed and he didn't freeze, he'd be at about 50% health. He hit me again with another Air Slash, which would have killed my Blastoise. I go into my Choice Scarf Azelf, which I would have been able to Ice Punch, and according to Pat, he said that the Ice Punch did 60 to 70%, so since he was already below half guaranteed from the Ice Beam, since I had guaranteed 2 Ice Beams off with my Blastoise, regardless of the miss and the freeze that happened, Azelf would have been able to come in, Ice Punch for the win. So the hacks just basically made it be a 2-0 in my favor, but the hacks didn't actually matter at all for the outcome of the match. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, see that like button down below. Remember to click the link in the description to go to Pat's channel to go see his side of the match, and go subscribe to him because he does great content and battles and things and stuff like that. We're going to the playoffs, so we're happy about that. Our final matchup against Aura is coming up, and I believe I'll be able to get that up on Sunday as planned. It should be a fun match. We're bringing a meme team. We agreed we're gonna do meme teams. Basically, we're just gonna do random stupid sets. So I have some funny sets that I have in store for him. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, see that button, I guess I'll see you guys later.